So they ready mine too. She's ready.
We're good. Everybody's good.
That way they won't take it with me.
I would like to call the Jefferson County Board of Commissioners in session. Mr. Frank, would you please call the roll?
All right, if everyone will sign in and mark present on your computers, please.
Everyone's computer's up and running? One problem. Anyone else?
Greg Bird not here, Rob Webb's not here,
John Johnson?
Jimmy Dale not here,
Yeah, Jimmy Dale called me.
Austin Brooks is here, and Paul Lewis is here.
Mr. John Johnson, front corner. Are you good, John? Would everyone please rise for the prayer led by Mr. Joe Coleman and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Sammy Solomon.
Our Heavenly Father, that we come before you this evening, Lord, we want to give you the praise and the glory for all things you've accomplished in us. We ask God this evening that you would direct our path that we might make right decisions for the benefit of our constituents. We pray tonight for our brothers and sisters in Israel. We pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We know, God, that this ordeal can lead to many worse things that we've never seen before. Thank you, God, for opportunity to stand before you. We pray, God, that we will stand with clean hands and a pure heart, that we might be able to receive the blessings from you. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Next on the agenda, we have approval and corrections of the agenda. Do we have anything? Not hearing any, we'll move right along to, you have a regularly quarterly session minutes.
We do have a budget amendment that is listed on your agenda, but it was not presented to Budget Committee last Monday. It is Fund 101, number 24, and there are two items on that budget amendment. If the board would consider suspending the rules to present.
Do I hear a motion to suspend the rule to add, Mr. Scarlett? Is there a second? Got a second everywhere. Tim Seals. You have before you a motion that's been made and properly seconded to suspend the rules. I'll just do his hands up over. Bear with us just a second. Let's score.
Get past 18-0.
Passed 18-0, so we will now add to the agenda under,
It is listed under Budget
it
Committee
is,
already.
it is listed under the
but
Budget
it
Committee.
was not presented to them Monday. It's 101, number 24.
101, number 24. Mr. Scarlett, you good with that?
Yes, sir.
All righty. That will be added under Budget Committee.
We done rate the motion up here, we'll move it down.
No, we're going to go ahead and do it now. I wanted to get the corrections to the agenda over with. Okay, now, next we'll have the Grateful Nation. Mr. Doug Ibbetson.
First of all, we'd like to thank the County Commission for hosting our quarterly memorial this evening. It will be presided over by Craig Kinyarum, Air Force Colonel.
I'd just like to thank the county and the Hero Card Project for acknowledging those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Tonight, we're going to honor Ronald H. Knight. Ron Knight hailed from Strawberry Plains, Tennessee, along the banks of the Holston River. He graduated from Fulton High School in Knoxville with a class of 1961. According to Jim McDade, a high school friend, Ronnie danced so funny the rest nicknamed him Creature. He was a great friend. Knight graduated with a bachelor's degree from the University of Tennessee, later served a year in Turkey as a volunteer with the Peace Corps. Before joining the United States Air Force, he took a job with the Knoxville Housing Authority. His service in the Air Force included flying the T-37B aircraft at Moody Air Force Base, Valdosta, Georgia, where he was trained in his pilot training. By 1968, First Lieutenant Knight was trained to fly the EC-47, a version of the DC-47 Skytrain, better known as the DC-3, that was retrofitted for this electronic reconnaissance mission in Vietnam. On December 13, 1968, Knight left for a tour of duty in Vietnam. Assigned to the 69th 94th Security Squadron, 7th Air Force, his squadron was based in Phuket Air Force Base in southern Vietnam's Binh Dinh Province, along the coast of the South China Sea. First Lieutenant Knight was awarded 4 air medals for successfully completing missions under hazardous conditions. He would later receive the Distinguished Flying Cross for heroism while participating in an aerial flight. Vietnam's summer monsoon season had not yet ended in early October of 1969. The pilots who flew routine missions out of Phuket were accustomed to dealing with high winds and heavy rain. On October the 8th, First Lieutenant Knight piloted Flight 43-4900 on his EC-47 with a call sign Prong 33 and a crew of 6. They were to conduct an airborne radio direction finding mission, an RDF mission, to help determine the location and movement of enemy units. The mission was due to take off at 14:40 that afternoon. As the day wore on, the weather continued to deteriorate. Despite the harsh conditions, the plane left on schedule. However, the crew was forced to return when it became clear that with the weather worsening and loss of all navigational radar, they wouldn't be allowed to complete the mission. There's no way. The team returned to the base and was informed it would take an inordinate amount of time to fix the problems. Undaunted, Ron and his crew took off again at 16:30, only to determine that due to both that weather and continuing technical problems, the mission could not be accomplished. The decision was made to return to Phuket. As the aircraft was making its final approach, the crew reported that they were dealing with electrical fire, complete electrical fire across the airframe, loss of aircraft's navigational instruments, and shortly after that transmission, all contact with the plane was lost. The aircraft vanished from the radar screen. Inclement conditions hampered the initial search and rescue effort for 4 days. The weather finally cleared and the wreckage of the plane was found. The entire crew had perished in the crash. First Lieutenant Ron H. Knight, age 26, was lost, along with his 5 crew members of Prong 33. Knight was laid to rest at the Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis, Missouri, and is honored on the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. His name is inscribed on panel 17W, line 50. And just something to remember, if we acknowledge, like we're doing here, to remember our heroes, they'll never die. Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
So we were unable to locate some family members that could be here, so the commissioners from his district, Commissioner Blevins, Commissioner Douglas, if you'll come up, we'll present you with the proclamation for this hometown hero who lived in your district. As you're coming up, whereas Ronald Knight, a resident of Strawberry Plains, graduated Fulton High School, he joined the Air Force. Whereas he attended the pilot training program at Moody Air Force Base in Georgia. By 1968, he was trained to fly the EC-47. He left for a tour of duty in Vietnam on December 13th, assigned the 699th 4th Security Squadron, 7th Air Force, based on Phuket Air Base. He was awarded 4 air medals for successfully completing missions under hazardous conditions. He would later receive the Distinguished Flying Cross for heroism or extraordinary achievement. First Lieutenant Ronald H. Knight, age 26, was lost along with 5 other crew members of the Prong 33. He was laid to rest at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis. First Lieutenant Ronald H. Knight lived a life in service to others and is worthy of special recognition and appreciation for dedicated service. Now therefore, upon the request of County Commission and those affiliated with the Wounded Warrior Project, by virtue of this authority vested me as Mayor of Jefferson County, and in conjunction with you, the Commissioners, express our sincere thanks and deepest sympathy and condolences to the family and friends of the late First Lieutenant Ronald H. Knight. He will always be remembered for the sacrifice he made to Jefferson County and the United States of America. Hereunto I've set my hand to seal this document. So Ronald H. Knight will be displayed in the foyer coming into the courtroom, and he will be there until the next quarterly meeting when we honor our next veteran.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, we're ready for approval of the minutes. Yes, 0 no's. Next, we have appearance of citizens. First up, please come to the podium and state your name, Mr. David Seal. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. David Seal, 730 San Martin Road in Dandridge. Last fall, homeschool families in Jefferson County contacted me and reported certain sports were not available to their children in Jefferson County schools, even though our legislature made law in 2013 compelling public schools to provide homeschoolers the opportunity to participate in interscholastic sports. A loophole in state law allowed Jefferson County schools to exclude certain homeschool children from participation in certain sports, primarily middle school age homeschoolers. After consulting Mark Reeves, TSSAA Executive Director, and Emily Cornute, Tennessee Department of Education, I knew the so-called Sports Association loophole had to be closed. Multiple state legislators concurred on that. In October, working with Representative Fason's office, I drafted the legislative intent for a new bill to close the loophole. It was filed in January by Fason and Senator Nicely and signed into law by Governor Lee last Tuesday. To use a sports analogy, it was a slam dunk, 28-0 in the Senate. It appeared on their consent calendar. The new bipartisan act compels public schools in Tennessee to provide homeschool students with the opportunity to participate in public school sports, regardless of the school's membership in a sports association. The loophole is now closed. I call this to your attention because Jefferson County Schools receives more than $78 million per year in appropriations not counting grants and not counting building debt. It's not too much to ask that a handful of homeschoolers be included in our sports programs. I urge you to watch how our school system treats our homeschool athletes at the middle school level now that the new law is in effect. And I have supporting documents for all of this if you'd like to see it. And finally, we have a second eminent domain bill that is in the House Finance Committee in the morning, and I have to leave right now to work on that. I hope to have a report for you all here in just a few days on that. Thank you all again.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Tina Ball.
Tina Ball, 1260 West Highway 2570, Dandridge. You know, I'm here mainly because of the quarry. I know you got a lot here. But Jefferson County has grown so much. My husband and I were born and raised in Knoxville. And I see more growth in Dandridge and Jefferson County than in the areas where we lived and where we visit frequently. And what I see is not good. I mean, we bring in the quarries. You know, that's going to be damaging to our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. It's going to be from now until the end of time if we allow it to happen. You know, I love myself, I love the growth. But it needs to be responsible. It needs, when you guys go out and inspect these sites for people who want to build homes, subdivisions, new roads, you need to look at the community in a whole, not just the site. I mean, look at the entire community. What is this going to do to the people in the community, the children who go to school in the community? I mean, to me, this is, we're working backwards. You know, my husband and drove past the quarry just recently, and the wind was blowing, and the dust was so bad. It wasn't our quarry. It wasn't the one Piedmont. But the dust was so bad you could see it for miles. It looked like forest fire. We're only opening our hours up to do the same thing. So I think you guys need to open your eyes, look, listen to the community. We were not informed when this was open. We were told beginning, they're moving dirt. They're going to move the mountain. It'll take them 3 years to move the mountain. And then we were told they're rock harvesting. What is rock harvesting other than quarrying? I mean, am I wrong? Now I hear, you know, we go on and on and on. We're wanting to put agricultural and put in rock crushers. That, you know, you guys can't do this to us. You can't do it to the community. You can't do it to the county. I mean, look at what you're doing to the people in the, and like I said, this is your family, your friends. Someday you may be sitting where we are because you guys will not have this job forever. It will end. And then where will you be? You will be, you know, hoping that some people like us are going to stand up for you and help stop this. I mean, it's just, it's nonsense. But, you know, I have lived in Knoxville. I lived in Maynardville. I lived in Granger County. And of all of those places, I see Dandridge is more damaging. I mean, Granger County, everybody up there, you go through and they wave at you. They know you. My 6-year-old, when my daughter was 6 years old, we moved to Knoxville. She waved at everybody because she thought that's what she was supposed to do. Everybody was so friendly. But like I said, to me, this is, I mean, I stand up here week after week, month after month. I come up here. I speak my voice.
Ma'am, your time's up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Doug Ibbetson.
I'm Doug Ibbetson. I'm speaking as a private citizen this evening. I am not speaking as a school board member. Nothing that I say tonight reflects the thought of me as a school board member or the school board. I'm speaking tonight because I think there's a shock that's gone through the county recently that I'm sure you're all aware of with the increase in property assessments. I think there's a great deal of misunderstanding of what that meant. I think there's a great deal of fear over what it will mean in property taxes. I also know that there has been discussion of renewing the wheel tax that recently expired. I believe that to conflate both of those and talk about both of those in the same vein is just going to add more confusion to the community. What I would suggest, not that you've asked for my suggestion, but what I would suggest is that you deal first with the overriding question of how the increased assessments will affect future property taxes, allay the community's fears about that, let them understand what it means, and at some point in the future, address the wheel tax. As I see it, there are actually 3 different scenarios that can take place. We can end up with 2 new taxes, the wheel tax and an increase in the property taxes, no new taxes, no renewal of the wheel tax, no increase in property taxes, or one or the other. I think that's kind of a confusing scenario for us in the community. So I would urge you to please deal with these one at a time at different meetings. And I think I would suggest dealing with the property tax issue first, and at some time in future, should you need to or want to, talk about the wheel tax. I don't think we should do it the other way around. The wheel tax is pretty cut and dry. The property tax is rather convoluted. Please take that first. Do not talk about the wheel tax in the same meeting that you're talking about the property tax, and give us some satisfaction as to where we know we're going on that larger of the 2 taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have James E. Nolan.
James Nolan, 714 McGuire Road, Newmarket, Tennessee. And I don't think we should be needing the tax for the wheel tax because this county's got all kinds of money in the budget. And there's been approximately 350 new homes or more coming in, with probably 300 to 500 more coming away, it sounds. And there's also square footage. People are wanting to raise that by 10% more. And we had a property tax increase in 23. Now, property assessments will raise the property tax somewhat. Just don't see what the need for this increase in taxes all the time is for. You're taxing the person to death is what you're doing. You have a new purchasing person that's supposed to be saving like approximately such as $400,000 last time. You know, that's money that you're making too. And Jefferson County just needs to learn how to economize like the residents have to do in these hard times. And think about the taxpayer for a change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Linda McSmith.
Linda McSmith, 3766 Island View Road, Sevierville, Tennessee, 37876, District 8. I'm coming before you to talk about a few different things, some having to do with the county itself and some related to the budget. First of all, with zoning. We've had a lot of issues recently that have come up, and process related to zoning, to definitions for zoning, to adding new designations within the zoning board itself right now. You need to think about making that happen sooner than later, what you're going to do about it and address it so it can change. Also look at the different definitions and provide better guidelines for people that are putting in for it, so they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. I think there's a lack of education, both of commission as well as the individuals coming before the different boards to ask for their changes. So just a lot of different education that could be better. I know I'm not going to harp on it, but please renew the fire stations at last year's numbers for the budget, what they've requested for this year, as far as that carrying over. There's a lot of different needs that they have. There's a lot of equipment. Their expenses have gone up just like yours. If we do something different, they did not have a true increase from 22-23 to 23-24 because all that was given was that bonus. If you think about that, if you take that total bonus money away, you never gave them an increase last year or an increase this year. So think about how you're doing that and how they're supposed to survive. They're supposed to now be doing mutual aid. We're supposed to be covering the lake. How do we do that? We don't even have a boat. How are you supposed to do lake rescues? Think about it. You got to give them the things that they need in order to make it happen. Third, I think the website is improving. It needs to be a little bit more logical for a lot of people to find things on there. You have to dig and dig and dig and dig to get to where you want to be. And it takes a lot of time. And if you're not diligent about it, you're not going to get there. Thank you for putting the information up about the taxes, the little icon that's on there to give you explanation. I think that was great. You guys took care of that in the last week. But think about what's going on and how that's being done. And not all our residents have access to that, but quite a few do. Thirdly, about meetings, encourage people to use their microphones from the commission, please. We can't hear you. We really can't. And there's a lot of things that go, what'd they say, and we miss it. Secondly, I made a suggestion previously. Could we do where we did before, where somebody was on deck, so we have ability to get up here quicker? We're not wasting time for people walking around the room to come up for citizens' appearance. So have somebody called, somebody on deck. Consider a second podium so they don't have to walk all the way across the room. Think about some things that could expedite things. Thank you.
Next, we have Marion Knight.
Marion Knight, 440 West Main Street in Dandridge. I'm here to ask you to approve 2 resolutions and vote against 1. As I said at the last meeting, please support Resolution 2024-11, establishing a new sensible C3 zone. It creates an acceptable path for small business owners rather than forcing them into the I-1 industrial zone. Second, please also support Resolution 2023-62 that moves BESS from the A1 agricultural zone to the I2 industrial environmental district. Not only is it a more appropriate zone for BESS, but is also an extra insurance policy to protect us in case the TVA decides to build a new substation. And finally, please vote against Resolution 2023-49. It started as a way to protect neighborhoods that were facing proposed RV parks. Then it was used to add the unpopular rock-crushing business as yet another inappropriate use on agricultural land. That was just plain wrong. Commissioner Huffaker deserved better treatment than that. She tried to pull her support of the resolution once she realized it was being used as a path to bring more objectionable uses to A1. Please support her by voting against the resolution. Hope you haven't changed your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Beth Nelson.
Good evening, Beth Nelson, Strawberry Plains. I'm here again about zoning. You have before you several resolutions, as Marion said, adding value-added processing and rock crushing. Value-added processing includes a lot of things, including slaughterhouses. A resolution, which was the original intent, was to deal with RV parks. When are you going to deal with it? When are you going to deal with it, is my question. And so instead of having a resolution that could have had some promise to deal with RV parks, it went to regional planning, and value-added processing and rock crushing was added to it. Not good. I ask you to oppose this resolution due to the fact that it would go before the BZA, and you, this body, would have no control. The C3 resolution, I'm asking for you to vote for this. Many of us in the community are tired of industrial zonings being placed where infrastructure is not in place and residents of the county can potentially be harmed. We continue to put industrial where it should not be. Also, the BEST facility, please vote to secure the fact that these facilities will be placed in I-2, as stated before during public hearings and numerous times at county commission meetings. These facilities have no place anywhere near schools, homes, or residences, and the infrastructure should also be in place for those facilities. And I ask for you to please consider this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have David Nelson.
I'm David Nelson. I live at 470 Judson Road in Strawberry Plains. There are 3 zoning resolutions on the agenda tonight for which I would like to share a few thoughts. The first of those resolutions is 2023-62. This will permit BEST facilities only in I-2 zones. Thanks to Mr. Dockery's initiative on this, I'm in complete agreement with this resolution. I think I-2 is the right zoning district for BEST facilities. They are environmentally unsafe, and they simply do not belong in any other zoning district. The second resolution is 2024-11. It creates a new C3 commercial zoning district. I am very much in favor of this resolution. It is geared towards small businesses that will not create possible adverse consequences to surrounding property owners. This zone will be helpful and useful in several ways. One, it will provide an option for small businesses other than the I-1 zone. It will provide a business activity zone that is more compatible with agriculture and residential neighbors than most uses presently allowed in I-1. It can provide buffer zoning, which we sorely need, between residential and industrial zones, protecting homeowners from adverse consequences from the many existing industrial uses that presently are allowed in I-1. It can encourage small business growth, which seems to be a universally felt need in our county. The third resolution I want to address is 2023-49. It will require special use permits for certain business activities. I am opposed to this resolution for several reasons. However, I will only address my primary opposition tonight. It is this. This resolution will transfer more power and authority to the Board of Zoning Appeals, taking it away from this county commission. I think such a transfer is bad policy. The Board of Zoning Appeals has the power to take actions that greatly impact this county. Their decisions are final, without any opportunity for this commission to participate in those decisions. Those decisions are made by the affirmative vote of 3 members only, who are appointed, not elected officials. As a taxpaying resident of this county, I would much prefer that this body, this commission, have final authority on significant zoning decisions, with 11 affirmative votes, not 3, cast by elected, not appointed commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Monty Moore. more. Next, we have Annette Lloyd. Look him up. You want me to pull him out of here?
Annette Loy, 1258 Beaver Creek Road, Strawberry Plains, Tennessee, 37871. We have a problem here in Jefferson County. Our county planners and zoning commissioners are not serving the needs of the citizens. That is a big problem. It's a huge problem. It's a problem that affects every one of us every day. There's a solution for this. These people, these 7 individuals who serve on this zoning board, are appointed by our mayor. Then you, as a commission, approve those appointments. These people are not elected, they are appointed. So there is a solution for this. It is within your power to do that. Now, I have come to ask you to pay careful attention to several items that are on your agenda. Several of these have already been discussed at length, and I will not take your time nor the time of the citizens by going over those again, except to say that I'm with the people who have already spoken. If they're for it, I'm for it. If they were against it, I'm against it. That's enough to say about all those resolutions. Now, I want to urge you, to encourage you, to plead with you, to pay special attention to the real issues in this county. The real issues. Do not allow yourselves to be distracted by efforts of those who have other agendas. I'm very serious when I say this. Case in point, and I have discussed this with several county people and historians. Eminent domain is not a clear and present danger in our county. It never has been. Zoning and planning is a very clear and imminent danger, the lack of. The last time that property was taken in Jefferson County by condemnation against a property owner's will was in 1948. That was the only time that I have been able to find in the history, way back as far as we can go, that it has been actually used against a citizen. That property was the site of the present Maury Middle School. It was taken by the town of Dandridge through the circuit court and handed over to the school system. That is the only time that eminent domain has been used in the last 75 years in this county. Do not allow yourselves to be distracted by other issues and by other agendas. Pay attention. The future is now. The problem is zoning and planning. Thank you for letting me speak, and I would like to personally thank each and every one of you for your service. It is not easy what you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Steve McSmith.
Steve McSmith, 3766 Island View Road, District 8, and I echo Ms. Loy's words. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your service. It's not an easy job. I recognize that every day, every day. I would just like to briefly give some extra support to what my wife already said. We were both here for last week's work session. We were here at the Budget Committee prior to. We were here for the continuance of the Budget Committee afterwards up till 10 p.m. We stayed We stayed late because we were specifically interested in the nonprofits and our fire department. They got there. By golly, they got there. And as a result, I suspect, there he is right there, Standard Banner, last week's edition, Steve Marion's article, our inveterate staff writer. The committee agreed to recommend fire department funding at the same level as last year, including a 30% increase included last year as a, in quotes, one-time bonus. The committee also recommended the following contributions, et cetera, et cetera. There was a lot of discussion about that, and I know that we're not voting on that. You're not voting on that tonight. But I simply am earnestly requesting that you don't let that slip away, that you respect and acknowledge what your budget committee agreed upon and is recommending to you to ultimately vote upon. And I'm earnestly asking you to eventually, when we're there, vote approval to what your budget committee recommended, including that effectively 30% increase. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Robert Bruner.
Robert Bruner, 600 Bruner Road, Strawberry Plains, Tennessee. I'm here to first address the tax issue, wheel tax, and the property assessment. I will give a short, brief view of my point on that is that if we do simple math as citizens of the county, that we can see which best suits us as individuals. For myself, I've done math for the assessment, and it's been thrown out that we're looking at about 8, maybe 9% or 9 cents on the $100 increase if we don't do the wheel tax. For me personally, that was about $157, and for me with 2 vehicles at my house, that's basically an increase of about $60. So simple math got me the information where I needed to go. So I want to tell each and every person in the county, do the math for yourself and see where it's at. It's not common core math. It's simple, basic math that we learned as students in Jefferson County schools. And also, it's been provided on the internet what the county budget is, where we're spending our money at. I say educate yourself as a citizen so you can make the best choice. And follow up with that is nobody wants any new taxes. But as a business person and a homeowner of the community, it's been spoken probably 10 years ago, we had about $90 million in interest debt. Now then we're down in the upper 30s. So that's been a physical responsibility of the commission to get that under control. So I want to thank you for being physically responsible as a commission, that you've done a great job, and I want you to weigh out the options so we can continue to get that paid down. My second issue here tonight is the C3 zoning. As everybody kind of knows, I was in a zoning issue not long ago, and that I wanted to give my input on that. And my input on that is what's drawn up here tonight that you're going to be voting on really is not a good document for our county. And I'll give my reason for that. I'm all for getting more zones in the county. Don't get me wrong on not being wanting to have new zoning and tighten up what we have. But one of the things that I want to address in this is talking about heavy manufacturing, heavy assembly, compound packaging, bottling, processing, and other industrial uses. Who determines what other industrial uses are and will be? So that needs to be more clarified. Sorry about that. Real quick, propane tanks. We heat with our shop with propane, and we're going to do that going forward. So that's another issue that we need to address, finalize. Right here, whenever I was in front of the county commission, is Paris, Tennessee zoning. And I would recommend each one of you to go to their website. It's 203 pages. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Go take what we need out of this for our county and make it work for us. It's very informative for each and every community member. It's Paris, Tennessee. Go look it up and look at their stuff. It's very informative. That will help us as citizens and a commission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Dale Metis.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner and Commissioners. I'm Dale Meadows. I live at 363 Battlefield Drive in Dandridge. And, of course, my issues are rock quarry in Piedmont, and I'm just going to give a little bit of review. Over the last several months, I think the nuisance that rock quarry caused to everybody in the area is very well documented. Also well documented is the negative impact it's had on the lives of people in that area. During this several months that I'm talking about, we've had a definition of a rock quarry from the state of Tennessee presented. I think everyone should agree that that operation down there is a rock quarry and it does not belong in an A1 zone. It seems to me that this resolution that would add a rock crusher down there is an effort after the fact to change the zoning to a situation that already exists. And that would just really be wrong. We don't need to do anything that would enhance or expand that operation. The cities of Jefferson City, Dandridge, and White Pine have all rejected this resolution. You know, and as commissioners, y'all should do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next we have Pam Meadows.
Since I've seen everybody. We had the big storm, here we are back again, and nothing's changed. My name is Pam Meadows. I live in Piedmont. My address is 1122 West Dumplin Valley Road, Dandridge. This rock quarry can be seen, heard, and felt 4 miles. Yet we have been told by our county zoning office that this rock quarry was rock farming, that it was rock harvesting, that rock removal is the same as dirt removal. None of these things are true. This rock quarry is what it is, a federally licensed mine. It is not in compliance with our county zoning or our county ordinances. Please oppose the resolution to add a rock crusher to the quarry. Show the citizens of this county that some decisions by our county government are made with integrity. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Next we have Mike Asbury.
My name's Mike Asbury. I live at 1122 West Dumplin Valley Road. I finally said my name and address first. So, in case y'all are worried about or haven't seen this, this is about 50 acres right here. That's where the rock quarry is. Now, if you think this is similar to rock, somebody selling field dirt and whatnot, more power to you. Or if we say, as we say in the South, bless your heart. So, this, I mean, y'all
Sir,
pay.
fix your microphone, please.
Yeah, hit that, didn't I? So, am I talking too loud?
No.
Right. So, louder? Okay. So, you know, this commission paid a lot of money to have a survey done, and one of the things that came out of that survey was that the citizens of Jefferson County wanted to keep the rural field. Well, we lost our rural field. It's gone. So, and the zoning compliance officer says that what we're doing here is okay in A1 because it's similar to the taking of dirt. But he will not allow him to crush, because crushing will take you from being whatever this is to a rock quarry, and you'd have to do that in I1. Well, if you allow, and that resolution passes, if you allow rock crushing in A1, which this is zoned A1 right now, what have you done? You essentially said, we're going to let you mine in A1, and that's what I'm here to try to reiterate and get you all to vote against this, because this would be the same thing as mining in A1, would it not? If you had a rock crusher. So what I'm saying is, if you do this and you put a rock crusher in A1 and you're allowed to come in here and do all this in A1, you're going to open this county up to a bunch of this, maybe not. But what if, you got some big factions in Sevier County like Vulcan and Blaylock. What if they decide they get tired of going through the Buc-ee's traffic and decide to come over here and open up a rock quarry in A1? What are you going to do to stop them? So that's, I'm just going to say, please don't allow quarrying in A1 or rock crushing in A1. We want to keep our rural feel, and that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, sir. Last but not least, we have Mr. Chris Nash. Done been covered. Thank you, sir. We would like to notice the Jefferson County High School Youth Leadership. Are you in the house tonight? Stand up. Be seen. Thank you all for coming. Next, moving right along on the agenda, we're at proclamations and courtesy resolutions. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Get the microphone adjusted here. So we have several, and unfortunately, these are members of our community who have passed away, and we honor them. We have several tonight, and it's worthwhile to make note of. The first one is Eddie Woods, and some of his family is here, and I'd like for the commissioners from his district to come forward. That'd be Mr. Snodgrass, Mr. Brooks. I don't think Mr. Lowe's here. This is at the request of them. Of course, we're going to do it anyway, so. Yeah, come on there. So I have a resolution, and the commissioners will present it to the family. Whereas Clyde Edward Eddie Woods passed away suddenly in Morristown, Tennessee on Friday, January the 26th. Eddie Woods attended White Pine School 12 years before graduating in 1965. Eddie enlisted in the U.S. Army in '68, where he would serve as a personnel specialist until his discharge in 1971. Eddie Woods was elected mayor of the town of White Pine in 1977. Following his tenure as mayor, he would stay heavily involved in Jefferson County and town of White Pine boards and committees. Eddie Woods was appointed to the Jefferson County Emergency Medical Service Board, Jefferson County Industrial Development Board, and worked tirelessly serving Jefferson County and the town of White Pine. Eddie Woods loved people. He enjoyed seeing and meeting friends and could continue a conversation for hours on any subject, sometimes with just himself. Eddie Woods was admired, respected, and loved by family and friends. He loved God and was worthy of special recognition and appreciation for dedicated service to others. Now, therefore, I, Mark Potts, at the request of the County Commission, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as Mayor of Jefferson County, and in conjunction with Jefferson County Commissions, we express our sincere thanks, deepest sympathy, and condolences to the family of the late Eddie Woods. He will always be remembered and loved as a true volunteer. His smiling face and happy personality in Jefferson County and the town of White Pine will never be forgotten. Hereunto I place my hand to this seal, so. Thank you. Thank you. Next is Michael Romines, also in the White Pine District. Any of Mr. Yeah, here we go. Come on up. Mike Romines, a resident of White Pine, Tennessee, passed away Thursday, February the 15th, 2024. Mike Romines, a former employee of Shady Grove Utility District and Coleman Enterprises, was employed by the town of White Pine Water Department. Mike Romines was the epitome of the true volunteer spirit. He was a lifetime member and former captain of the Jefferson County Rescue Squad, where he was a loyal and diligent servant for 35 years. Mike Romines was instrumental in starting the rescue diving program in Jefferson County, where he was a master diver. Mike Romines was a lifetime member of Dandridge Fire Department with 10 years of service, former chief of the Bainbury Fire Department, and a lifetime member of the White Pine Fire Department with 39 years, where he mentored several of the current firefighters and officers. He was an EMT with the Jefferson County Emergency Medical Service since 1992. Mike Romines lived a life of servitude to Jefferson County and its citizens. He was admired, respected, and loved by family and many friends. He was worthy of special recognition for dedicated service to others. I, by the authority vested in me as Mayor of Jefferson County, in conjunction with the County Commission, we express our sincere thanks, deepest sympathy, and condolences to the family of the late Mike Romines. He will always be remembered and loved. Next, we have Johnny Carmichael, and we'll ask Mr. Spoon, Mr. Walker. Got my own AJ there.
Mr. Solomon, Sammy, would you assume the duties of the chair?
He's just good for saying the pledge, Jimmy. He can't sing the chair.
Yes.
Come on up this way.
Just kind of.
This is the Cherokee County Commission's father, so here's proclamation. John Johnny William Carmichael, Talbot, Tennessee, passed away on February the 27th. Johnny Carmichael founded the Carmichael excavation business serving the Talbot community, Jefferson County, and many surrounding counties. Johnny Carmichael, a volunteer firefighter, founded the Kansas Talbot Volunteer Fire Department. Johnny Carmichael, a man who loved God and a helper to anyone in need, was an active member of the Talbot Cumberland Presbyterian Church. Johnny Carmichael, an elected constable for 16 years, served Talbot, the 9th District of Jefferson County. Mr. Carmichael, the epitome of volunteer spirit and loved helping others. Johnny Carmichael was admired, respected, and loved by family. He is worthy of recognition and appreciation of dedicated service. It is with this we express our sincere thanks, our deepest sympathy, and condolences to the family of the late Johnny Carmichael. He will always be remembered and loved as a true volunteer. Next, District 8 Commissioners, Mr. Dockery, Mr. Coleman, will be honoring Sheriff David Davenport. His family has driven, I think, from Nashville to be here. One. Well, I was half right, so. Thank you for driving up. We appreciate it. David Davenport, Dandridge, Tennessee, passed away on Friday, March the 22nd. David Davenport, after graduating from Young High School in Knoxville, joined the United States Air Force, serving 4 years during the Vietnam conflict. After proudly serving his country, he began his lifelong career in law enforcement by joining the Tennessee Highway Patrol. David Davenport served as a state trooper for 7 years and was then appointed as a special investigator with the TBI. He was recognized as the 1997 Special Agent of the Year. David Davenport, after his retirement from the TBI, continued to stay involved in law enforcement and was elected sheriff by the residents of Jefferson County. David Davenport served faithfully and honorably as sheriff of Jefferson County for 3 terms and then continued to stay connected to law enforcement by assisting in television documentaries on several well-known cases. David Davenport, loved, admired, and respected, will be missed by family and friends. He is worthy of special recognition and appreciation for his years of dedicated service. Along with county commissioners, we offer our sincere thanks, deepest sympathy, and condolences to the family and friends of the late David Davenport. Thank you so much for his service. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the proclamations for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll move right along. Next on the agenda is approval of notaries and bonds. We have 2 additions. Hang on just a second here.
Without objection, I'd like to add the names of Carrie Grooms and Jamie Neary.
Yes, 0 no's. Next, we have election committees, boards, and commissions. Audit Committee, Gary Jett, Chair. I believe that has been transferred to the Finance. Move right along. Nominating Committee, Ms. Heidi Thomas, Chair.
The following nominees come from the nominating committee. To the Animal Control Oversight Board, Ron Coleman for a term of 3 years. To the County Board of Equalization, Bob Hardy, Charles Briggs, Charles Crosby, Ellie Smith for terms of 2 years. And to the Industrial Development Board, Dwayne Sykes for a term of 1 year.
Thank you. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Yes, 1 no, passes. Next, is that all you have, Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we got Long Range Planning Committee, Mr. Jim Snoggers.
No report.
No report tonight. Thanks, sir. We're back to Mr. Mayor and your appointment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Have 1 mayoral appointment for the EMS board. That'd be Colin McRae. He'll fill out the unexpired term of Eddie Woods. And need confirmation by county commission.
Zero passes.
Next is Housekeeping Matters Resolution 2024-01. It's updated TOSHA plan every, I think, 5 years. We have to update this for the state. So very identical to the previous TOSHA plan.
Come on, Mr. Joe. Thanks, sir. 18-0, pass.
Next, last but not least, Resolution 2024-10. It's a Community Development Block Grant, Administrative Service. That's with Community Development Partner. We advertised for that. This is the agency that applied, accepted, and they will be administering our CDBG grant. But it does take county commission action.
$18-0. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Next, moving along to other elected officials. Does any of the elected officials need to speak tonight? Highway Department? Guess not. We'll be moving along to director reports. The Department of Education, Mr. Tommy Arnold, do you have anything for us tonight, sir? No, sir. Thank you, sir. David Galt, do you have anything? No, sir. Thank you, sir. So we are down to the finance department, Miss Jessica Elders.
Okay, so last week we presented the February financials. If anyone has any questions after reviewing those, I'll be happy to answer those.
Question or comment?
Okay, moving on, the surplus property policy was presented to Budget Committee last Monday evening, and they have recommended it to go before Finance Committee. So it will go before Finance Committee before coming back to you all, is my understanding. So you may see it in the near future. The next item is the 22-23 audit annual financial report. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. The last item is the infrastructure MOA with WIT Utility.
That is for a vote, right?
That is for a vote, yes, sir.
Sure. $18-0, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is that all you have?
For this part.
Next, we have the fun part. Budget Committee, Mr. Scarlett.
Yes, sir. First off is General Fund 101, Amendment 19. It is, if you remember, we moved back to this to have $25,000 for professional engineer on maintenance transition. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Does this involve fund balance?
Yes, it does.
All right. Accept the vote. Are you ready to vote? Mr. Scarlett, speak into your microphone. 17 yes, 1 no, passes.
General Fund 101, Amendment 21 through 18. Well, there was 17 of them voted through, and then one was voted separately on this. So we'll take 1 through 17. We'll take, number 8 is stricken.
You said number 8 is stricken?
Number 8 was stricken from this. Or 16. Oh, I'm sorry.
And it was, did not pass. So we updated the amendment.
Okay, I've not got a new sheet.
It's 1 through 17.
1 through 17. Number 8 is, it is on the county building. There was $32,212 not included in the budget. Mr. Snodgrass spoke to that at the budget meeting. If anybody'd like to ask him questions about it. Other than that, so move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any vote.
General Fund 101, Amendment 21. So move it, Mr. Chairman. This is reserve balance, ADA transfers in and out, where we have money coming out of our reserve that we funded a few years ago.
Yes, 0 no, sir.
General Fund 101, Amendment 22. One item. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any, please vote.
Yes. Sorry.
0, sir.
General Fund 101, Amendment 24. Library reserves, QSCAB interest transfers out. So move it, Mr. Chairman. I guess I did. 10124 right now. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Or you want to go back to, okay, you got 24. Let's go ahead and do 24. Well, if it did not appear, if that's correct, if it did not appear, so moved, Mr. Chairman, requires a second on this. Do we get a second? Let's go back and start over. Yep, we got it now.
I didn't know if somebody could just say what it was.
Mr. Scarlett, what was that?
This is a, the Public Jefferson City Library reserves $2,500, budgeting funds to recover book and instructional supplies, and then allocating school qualified construction bonds, refunds not budgeted for the year, $3,800.
Interest that we received on those funds that we were not budgeted for.
Ms. Hyden, there you go. 18-0 passes.
All right, 101, item 23. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed. Ms. Jennings?
That one wasn't on there either, so I just wanna know what it was about before I vote on it.
Budget committee approved it last week. It's the $396.44 that Mr. Steele is requesting in addition to the $3,000 that was originally budgeted for his lobbying.
Thank you.
15 yes, 2 no, 1 abstain.
Sanitation Fund 116, Amendment 4. Budget payback for tax anticipation note. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed vote.
Tennessee Opioid Abatement Fund 121, Amendment 4. $107,441. Receive interest and funds received from opioid abatement February 2024. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Proceed vote. Pass.
Drug Enforcement Fund 121, Amendment 1. Drug Enforcement Fines and Forfeitures, $15,816. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed vote.
122. 122, Drug Enforcement Fund, Amendment number 1. Okay. $15,816. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, 0 no, 2 abstains. Pass.
Highway Fund 131, Amendment 2, recovery, budgeting funds from Tennessee Risk Management, recovery on insurance. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Debt Service Fund 151, Amendment 2. Debt reserves $1,175,000. This is the principal payment that we're paying ahead on the Freshman Academy note. If y'all remember, we took the money that was in the variable rate note once we paid it off, and we committed it to pay over the next 16 years. It also this is the other side of the $500,000 payback of tax anticipation note. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Capital Fund 171, Amendment 3. Items 1 through 5, most of them are disability projects. One is committed for capital from Jefferson County, budgeting funds from reserve expenditure lines to complete the Jefferson County office building project. Another $150,000 that was reserved. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Nursing Home Capital Fund 174, one item, $87,972 and change. Funds remaining from nursing home for construction of White Pine Homes, reimbursing county on debt payments. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Other capital project funds 189, Amendment 2. Budgets and additional funds reimburse county for CDBG grant. $4,287 and change. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Pass 18-0. Landfill Fund 207. Amendment 3. This is Jefferson County Insurance Recovery, Jefferson County Motor Vehicle. We had a truck burn. This is the insurance money and the additional funds out of that. Also, the Sanitation Board has decided to allow the director to buy a brand new pickup. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Yes, 1 no, passes. All right, that is all the county. This is school budget amendments. 141, general purpose amendment 13. Revenues and donations, special education for Medicaid reimbursements for physical therapy, vision services, and other special education needs. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Any question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Pass. Budget 141 fund, budget amendment 14. TISA outcomes funding, reserving $660,618. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Fund 141, general purpose, budget amendment 15, 1 through 8. evaluation and testing, student protection, insurance recovery, increase in workers' compensation, health services for Special Olympics, education prep program for welding materials. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Pass. Budget Amendment 141, Budget Amendment number 16. Items 1 and 2, summer reading program, or summer instructional program, and summer camp transportation. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. $141, Budget Amendment 17, other contracted services, fund balance for upkeep and services for all elementary and K-8 school playgrounds. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Pass. $141, Budget Amendment number 18, items 1 through 10. Education Technology, Resource Center, Maintenance of Operation Plant, Coordinate School Health, Nursing, Special Education, Summer Camp Transportation, Career and Technical Education, Special Education. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Pass. 141, Budget Amendment 19, payments for risk management for repairs to 2 buses. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed to vote when ready. Pass. Fund 141, Budget Amendment number 20. School Board is asked to access undesignated fund balance to replace HVA system at Rustrong School, $3,782,992. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed to vote. 17 yes, 1 abstention. Jefferson County Schools, 142, federal funds, budget amendment number 7. Staff development, changing from it, and fiscal pre-monitoring, unused grant funds. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Not hearing any. Proceed to vote. Fund 142, federal funds, budget amendment number 8, math implementation grant, other amendment covered bus drivers benefits through the end of March, and Carl Perkins grant. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Proceed to vote. Pass. Fund 142, federal funds, budget amendment number 9. Title III, Tennessee All Corporate Grant, ESSER 3.0 grant. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Please vote. Fund 143, Student Nutrition, budget amendment number 3. USDA grant, allowing dairy foods, fruits and vegetables, meat and legumes. So move it, Mr. Chairman. Question or comment? Please vote. 177, educational capital funds. moving funds to expenditure line, prepare to issue purchase order on project on paving. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Mr. Chairman, does that conclude your business? The policy 4.3 debt management annual review.
Need to do it. We need a general fund. Yeah, we need to do the debt policy, please. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Pass. Jefferson County Redemption Letter 2010 bond.
We need that one. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. That is obligation bond series 2010 recovery zone bonds, which allows us to pay the $1 million+ in on it early. So move it, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? Not hearing any, proceed to vote. Does that conclude?
I think that concludes. Anything else, Ms. Jessie? All right, thank you.
Next, we have libraries, board of appointees, appointments handout. Anybody know anything about it? Thank
Sorry,
you,
Mr. Chairman. Library Board makes nominations for each respective entities. It's approved by County Commission. It's like Dandridge, White Pine, Jefferson, and this is, they're allowed to serve 3 terms. They simply present it to us. It doesn't go through the nominating board because it's just a confirmation by County Commission. You have the list? Do you have the list?
No, I do not.
Okay, let me read it real quick, sorry. Kendall Wright, Jefferson County Representative, first term, July 2024 to July 2027. Ralph Tucker, Jefferson County, first term, same, July 2024, July 2027. Jennifer Winkler, White Pine, July to July 24 to 27. K.E. Rutherford, Dandridge, first term, July 2024 to July 2027.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pass, 18-0. I think old business, we've had that took care of. So we move right into new business, consent agenda.
This was a rule change we discussed at work session to allow us to develop a consent agenda to minimize the votes you all take if you so choose.
Is there a question or comment? Mr. Scarlett?
What will be on the consent agenda? Will it be standing or will it be made up differently every time?
It would be, it would be advertised but made up separately each time, depending on, parliamentary things like notaries and bonds, anything you all want on there. Just a mass approval of
Mr. Herndon, at what point would we have the option to remove something from the consent agenda? Would that be under approval and corrections of the agenda? Anytime before we get to the consent agenda? So if the consent agenda comes up before we vote on it, any one commissioner could remove something?
Sure. And it's automatically placed on the Hill agenda.
Okay, and that doesn't need a vote or anything, it's just one commissioner? Okay, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Not hearing any, we'll proceed to vote. Passes 18-0. Next, we have the county commission calendar. Mr. Scarlett.
Based on conversations with the finance department, the calendar for next year that we're looking at would be an issue for them to get payroll out. We would need to back that up. How many days, Jesse?
I was gonna ask if we could change it from June 23rd to Thursday, June 26th.
Okay, we're talking about changing from June the 23rd to June the 26th.
Special call. If we change it to June 30th and we do not have quorum at that point, none of our year-end budget amendments would get passed.
Sure.
It would be an emergency. So if we were able to meet that Thursday, that would allow time. We run about 15 payrolls before that meeting.
Okay, question or comment? Therefore, is that a motion, Mr. Scarlett? Who's making a motion?
To move it from 23rd special call to the 26th, correct? First,
June 23rd to June 26th.
okay, the mayor just informed me that we got conflict in January on a work session.
It's on Martin Luther King Day, we need to move it to the Tuesday after January 14th. In our rules, we're supposed to move it to this calendar that you have here.
We just need to go ahead and move it. Anything else? Do we want to vote on the corrections or vote on it already corrected?
Do we need to vote on the corrections first? We need
Sure.
to vote on the amendment.
Yes.
Second to it.
As far as I know, we did.
Randy said he said.
Hold up just a second. We'll vote to amend first.
We do both changes, yes, yes, I'm sorry.
Do we do that to include one automatic, or the team?
We'll vote the original motion. You'll be voting on the amendment.
I'll vote yes.
I appreciate you, Mr. Joe, but you're a little quick on us. You're voting on the amendment.
Read it again, we were writing together.
Amendment is to move it
From a 23rd
We're moving 2 days.
to the 26th, and then also to the Tuesday in January.
Passes 18-0. Now we're back to the original motion, Mr. Dockery's motion, and I believe seconded by Marcus Reed, I believe. Seventeen yes, 1 no. Passes. Next Next on the agenda, we have resolution 2024-07, increasing school adequate facilities tax. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Just for those who may not have been here at the special meeting, several people have always been under the impression we were maxed out on our adequate facilities tax. You were maxed out on your first, when you first enacted that, $1 was the limit, and that's where we've been since. I'll go with you, you're older than me, so, well, anyway, the legislature's looking at new legislation on the adequate facilities tax, especially in some of the faster growing counties, and they want to add in a clause that you have to grow 20% in 10 years. That's a lot of growth, or 9% in 4. Legislature that I've talked to, they said it does not affect Jefferson County. Verbally say that, but what I see written doesn't match what I've verbally been told. So I don't know, I'm gonna try to hold them to it. But you are allowed every 4 years to increase your adequate facility tax 10%, which would take you to $1 and a dime. But the cautionary tale is, if legislature changes and we're not exempt from it, you have to do 2/3 vote and 2 consecutive meetings to do this. That puts us into July. You can't call a special call. It has to be a regular scheduled meeting, so I don't know what the outcome will be if you go forward.
Sure. Okay, is there a question or comment?
If we vote on this tonight, it takes effect tomorrow.
No.
Takes two consecutive meetings, 2/3 vote.
July meeting will be the soonest it could take effect if it passes tonight.
Man, we'll argue that we already had it in play before the legislature changed
Sure.
it, but they say it doesn't affect us, so
That was my argument.
good luck.
So not hearing any questions or comments, we will proceed to vote on adding a dime. 16 yes, 2 noes. Passes. Next on the agenda, we have resolution 2024-16, wheel tax resolution. Mr. Scarlett.
Yes, sir. I asked that this be put back on. Several people out of the New Market District down there in District 7 are worried about the property tax. And I think with what Mr. Frank had told me the other day, there are more there'll be about as many above us as there is below us. The highest is Pickett County. Is that correct? It's $100. Lake County, I'm sorry. What this amounts to, as they've said, and based on, since we don't know the certified rate, this is 9 cents on the property tax. This part of revenue, this budget this time, because of the reappraisal, we have to start out at revenue neutral. So if it's revenue neutral, that means we don't get any money to go forward. So that's why I'm moved this to put this on, and it boils down to either you have 30,000 of your friends help you pay the bill, or you have 59,000 of your friends pay the bill. Because there's 30-some-thousand property owners, parcels, however you want to put it, and there's close to 60,000 vehicles. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Question or comment? What is your dollar amount, Mr. Scarlett?
$30 $30, and 5 of it I'd like to dedicate to the road department for paving. The more people we have move in here, the more impact we have on the roads. I talked to Mr. Charlie. He's confirmed that over and over, that they have that, and they could use it for paving, use it to hire, do whatever, but $5 to the road out of the 30, and then $25 for debt service, capital improvement, or capital purchases. It does not allow this to go into operational funds, and we should never let this go into operational funds.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brooks?
Mr. Garland actually just answered my question. The money would be going, 25 of the 30 would go to the debt service fund.
Well, it would not, that would be a decision that this commission would make on a per-year basis. If they don't want any of it to go into debt service, if they've got a capital project, they could choose to do that.
As it's written right now, what is proposed to go into the debt service fund?
As it's written right now, it is for debt service, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Jessie, debt service, capital purchases, or capital projects, with the exception of the $5. And it is a yearly decision for the commission on what they put that forth.
But as it's written right now, the money goes into the debt service fund.
I'm gonna repeat this again, Austin. As it's written, it is a yearly decision, meaning decide every year. This commission will have to vote, with the exception of the $5 that goes to the road. Every year, this commission will have to vote, whether it goes for the debt service, whether it goes for capital projects, or capital improvement.
Okay.
And that is a every year vote, as it is written right now.
You rest, Mr. Brooks. Terry Dockery?
I'd just like to point out that it's been noted during this discussion and the citizen inputs, the amount of money we're talking about, it equals 9 cents on the property tax rate. But it cannot help this year's budget. The budget for the upcoming FY 24-25 has to be approved in June for our new fiscal year starting July 1st. If this is approved tonight, it'll have to get another vote at a regular scheduled meeting in July. So it will not help stave off the property tax increase if we can't create a balanced budget. I'm finished, Chairman.
Thanks, sir. Next, we have Janet Norton, and then we have Mr. Marcus Reed for an amendment, I believe. Yes, Ms.
Mr. Dockery kind of made part of my point right there that I wanted to share, was that it won't be for this year, and we could do this at a later time. Just because it looks like you're going to get your property was appraised, and it looks like your taxes are going to go up, and that gave everybody a heart attack, but we should have had a letter in there with Ms. Gass. We should have gone together, and we've discussed this, and next time you have a reappraisal, there'll be a letter in there as our intentions that to stop this heart attack that everybody had when they opened their taxes and saw that they went up. Just because your property was appraised for more does not mean that your taxes go up on your properties. There's an equalization clause in there that causes it to balance out. They can't charge you more than they did. And I don't think we need the wheel tax right now. It's not going to make a difference. We can get it later. So that's just my thought, and I'm going to vote no on it. We already have one. And this is, instead of $25 more, it's $30 more.
Mr. Reed?
Can I say a couple things before I make my motion? There's a couple things about, there are several things about this wheel tax that have been going through the media, have been spoken publicly. One is identified as a fair tax for property owners. I don't think that's true. My point is, we all, I'm sure, have received phone calls all over the reassessment. Everyone's concerned about the reassessment. I actually had a friend of mine call me and said, Marcus, I'm worried. I'm trying to figure out what kind of, amount of percentage that I'm gonna have to come up with to make sure that all my rental property, the tax increase is gonna be paid by the people that rent there. So there's been a thing said that people that rent do not pay for their children's education. I respectfully differ with that because they're picking up that fee in the rent they pay. And if you're paying $894 a month for a one-bedroom apartment and you're barely making ends meet, and then you tack on an additional $30 wheel tax, that's not right. The second thing is, as Mr. Iverson said, we need to take a step back and make sure that we look at our budget and we see what we have to work with, and we move through what we have to fund and what we may have to come up with concerning a new tax or not a new tax. I think we're just jumping the gun, as Commissioner Norton said. So I make a amendment to the motion. I request, or I amend this motion, that we postpone this till the October meeting, and that way the citizens have input, and maybe we can have a respectable and reasonable discussion about a wheel tax, and we can get citizens' input. And by the way, citizens, if you are against this and you want to come up with a petition, you can actually petition with a number, 10% of the last governor election, and you could put this on a ballot. I believe in citizens speaking. I believe in their input. So my motion is that we postpone this wheel tax to the October meeting. That way us commissioners can become better informed. We can hear from you, because I can say I have not talked to anyone in my district concerned about not having it or having it. And the third point is, we have enough money in our debt fund balance to pay our bills and still add to the debt fund balance as of this time. I'll leave with my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to amend. Is there a second to the motion? And who is it? We got a second, Mr. Austin Brooks. Okay, we have John Neal Scarlett to speak, and then two more.
I would urge drastically that we do not postpone this. It will take, as Mr. Terry said, it will be July, if we were to pass it tonight, before we get to vote on it again. If we pass it in July, it would be, I talked to Mr. Frank, he said it would take approximately till October. Is that correct, Mr. Frank? To get it put back in. The further we kick this can down the road, the worse off we get. The Budget Committee at our meeting last week added 2.4 cents to your tax rate last week. It's coming, the tax, and based on the stuff, and the other thing is, what I want to say is absolutely, we cannot touch the money in debt service for operational funds. The state will absolutely climb us with a microscope. The only way you have debt service, the money comes for it, is it comes to an incurred debt. That is not operational money in any form or fashion.
Hold up here. Here we go.
How many's been out here to some of these, like, I don't know, going out to 2570 out there, up in some of these subdivisions where the houses are real close together, and some of them down over the hill, they're little two-bedroom houses, and you've got 4 or 5 vehicles in the park. You know, it's the first tax that we can put on the people. I've got 2 vehicles. I wouldn't care to pay another $100 for each vehicle to keep from raising my property tax. Now, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I had 4 calls yesterday. 3 of those calls were dead set that they did not want their property tax raised. And I made that vow when I run for county commission. I was asked that by the moderator, would I raise tax on Jefferson County citizens? I said, only one reason that I would raise tax, it would have to be detrimental to the safety of the people, first responders, road use, something that we definitely need. And I don't care, I just feel like it's the first tax that we can put on the people, and I will not vote to raise property tax on anybody.
Thanks, sir. Okay, now, Jim Snodgrass. It's your turn, but I've got 2 more up here that didn't hit a button that raised their hand, so.
All right, I'll wait then.
All right. Go ahead, Jim.
John Neal, just so far, we've added 2.4 cents, right? And we,
327, 800 and change.
and we've got more to go, right?
Got more to, we
So-
really just started the
Right.
budget. We've added 2.4 cents right now based on where we were.
All right, just taking a look forward, we've got a request for 14 additional people to add to
I
the,
think that's, yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere right in that neighborhood.
another 600,000-700,000
Correct.
roughly? Which
Correct.
is how many cents?
Uh,
Roughly.
5,
All right, so already we're in the hole with that number,
yes.
almost 8 cents.
And you've got, utilities, insurance, fuel,
The sheriff's vehicles that were being added back where we
Yeah.
lost the ARPA, we no longer have ARPA funds.
there's about another 700,000, the ambulances and the sheriff's
We lost
vehicles.
the living adjustment for the employees.
So, I'm gonna urge also not to postpone at this point, and remind everyone, it takes 2 meetings to pass this, correct?
2 regular meetings.
2 regular
Now,
meetings,
you can't
so.
call a special meeting for this one.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating in the end that I would support, but we need to get more facts from next year's budget requirements. I would encourage to move this through the first phase, and we still have another phase to collect our data, collect our hearings, as Marcus said, and make our final decision.
All right.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Coleman, I believe Mr. Solomon had something to say.
No, I'm
Mr. Coleman then.
This is just for comment. Every person in this county has more taxes to pay than what they can actually afford. I've had numerous calls just in reference to this new wheel tax. But to me, if we as a commission would do a little better handing out money, I don't think our citizens would be in the shape they're in. I think it starts with us. The reckless spending that's went on for years in this county and continues to do it. At some point in time, something has to give. So I don't see why we can't start now. We're trying to do something, we don't even know what we're doing because we don't know what we need. We're paying the bills, and we have the money to pay the bills. We're always putting the cart before the horse. And it's about time the county within its means instead of what it wants to be. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, sir. Next, we got Janet Norton, Katie Huffaker, and Terry Dockery somehow getting switched around. Okay.
I just wanted to bring up too, I've heard a lot of people, I'm a realtor, for those of you who don't know that, don't throw anything at me. But I hear a lot of people say, there's so many people moving in here and they're just clogging our place up and we're not gonna be rural anymore, there's just so many people, and look at all these D.R. Horton homes. For every single one of those D.R. Horton homes, there was that adequate facilities tax charged to them for every square footage of that house. If it was 1,240 square feet, they had to pay $1 for every square foot. So $1,240 went into our county. Now we just voted to increase it by 10 cents. So these new people moving in here are now gonna take part of the brunt for that, paying that additional 10 cents every time they build a house or these builders like D.R. Horton, if they take, sometimes the developer pays it before they sell the house. So some of the onus is going back on them. So we have other monies coming in. And I wholeheartedly believe the wheel tax sticker is better than a property tax. Absolutely. It is more fair, but not when you don't need it. That's just my point. When we need it, we bring it in here. If we don't need it, we're not a bank. We're not supposed to be hoarding your money. So that's just how I feel about that.
Next, Ms. Katie.
Okay, I'd like to say I support the wheel tax because it diversifies the tax base, which we hear over and over again about, and it takes some of the burden off the property taxpayers. And I want to address our spending. When I first got on commission, we were almost $100 million in debt. Now we're about 38 million, is that right? In debt, just over the last few years. And I want to thank the county department heads, because the finance department, the department heads, the commission, the mayor worked hard to reduce that spending. And in my opinion, the department heads are cut. I don't think they have any extra padding for the most part for their departments. And so we've reduced spending, we've paid off our debt, we've been fiscally responsible. And I just want to thank the department heads right now for doing that, and to say that I've had multiple calls, multiple people in our district have contacted me, and they would rather have the wheel tax. So I'm going to support the wheel tax.
Thank you. Next, we have Terry Dockery.
The wheel tax that recently expired, excuse me, the expiration date was set to occur at a point at which we would have our principal paid down enough to where one wheel tax could make our debt payments. So we're there, and as been stated before, we can make our debt payments on the one wheel tax. We've heard that Budget Committee started out 2.4 pennies in the hole. We heard about new positions, but again, I reiterate, this wheel tax has nothing to do with that budget, because the budget has to be passed assuming there is no wheel tax. And this wheel tax, it says, of course, the $5 to highway department, debt service, capital improvements, and capital projects. So to me, it's really all about vote for this if you want to spend more money, or the county spend more money. So I'm not going to vote for the wheel tax, and respectfully, Commissioner Reed, I'll probably vote against your amendment to postpone and just go ahead and vote on the thing tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Blevins, was you wanting to speak? No. All right, we will proceed to vote on the amendment. Mr. Reed's amendment to postpone. Got 6 yeses, 12 noes. Noes have it. We will vote on the full motion tonight. Sure.
As I said, the wheel tax is it's not solving everything. We're not going to solve it with one fell swoop. I agree with Mr. Ronnie, we've got to watch our spending. That's what got us in problem to start with a few years ago, when we like $2.5 million paying our bond payment. We didn't have a revenue problem, we had a spending addiction. But as you continue, you can only provide so much. There's a revenue coming in. So as you continue to add service and you continue to add other things, then we've got to have more revenue. So there's only two choices: more revenue, cut spending. I'm all for it if we can cut spending. But if we don't cut spending, we've got to have more revenue. And the wheel tax, with having it in there, will allow us, because the debt service or what they call, the old folks call the sinking fund. That debt service is made up of multiple revenue sources. One of the revenue sources in it is property tax. It's made up of ad valorem tax, it's made up of different things. There is, if you have the wheel tax put back in there, there is the possibility you can move some of that property tax to buffer future tax increases. But if you continue to add expenses, you have to have more revenue. It's just the way it is. So I urge you to vote for this wheel tax.
Mr. Reed's got a comment, and we're gonna vote.
As of right now, our county debt principal is $38,611,476. Is that pretty close?
Sounds close.
County debt interest added to that is $22,786,050. The net debt, county debt liability, not including the nursing home and landfill, is $54,512,000 and some. The debt service fund balance of January 2024 is $14,484,231. The net county debt liability after subtracting the debt service fund balance is $40,027,000, whatever. You know, we're well on the way of paying off our debt. But what if we have to build a new building and it comes in between $20 and $30 million in this day and age? So where are we gonna get that money to build that at? This is the reason why we gotta be very careful. We're in good shape financially. We got the money to pay our bills. We can move forward. We don't know what the budget is gonna end up like, and we can't take anything out of this to do operational funding. So I would encourage you to really think about it, because we're pretty close to putting a burden on the people sitting out here in the audience. And I don't care what you say, but in my opinion, there's no such thing as a fair tax. I'm sorry. The wheel tax is not fair. The property tax is not fair, but we're gonna have to have money to function. And we spend a lot of money in different departments, and one of them is providing an education to our schools. And I tell you that a person who rents a house, rents an apartment, are paying just as much taxes as you are, or that I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. We will proceed to vote. Question or comment before we vote? I think we're all in, all done.
Yeah, get over on the right one.
You have 11 yes, 7 no. It takes 14 to pass. No movement. Moving on to next on the agenda, Resolution 2024-11, new C3 zoning, Commissioner Austin Brooks. Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This zone is to aid small businesses. Everyone should have a copy of it in their packet. And Mr. Drennan can speak to the process if anyone's unclear, but all we're doing tonight is sending it on to the Regional Planning Commission and the City Planning Commissions for them to look it over, and then it would come back. We are not,
Follow due process.
yeah, this is not a final approval.
You don't need a vote.
Yeah,
Not to send it on, you
Not
can
to
send
send
it
it on,
on.
you don't.
You don't even have to vote on it.
I've got a resolution, and
Yeah.
made a motion, got a second.
Well, you
Mr.
can,
Drennan.
I'm just saying, to send it to the planning commission, you don't have to have a vote.
Well, that's what
You
I'm
can
gonna
just
do.
request it.
Mr. Scarlett, please speak into the microphone, sir.
I said
Anyone
if-
else before we vote? Are you done, Mr. Brooks?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Not seeing a question or comment? Please
tried
vote. Ms. Katie, didn't see it on the board.
Well, I hit it, it didn't work. Okay. I'm a co-sponsor on this, and Austin, I'm gonna apologize to you because I'm gonna ask to postpone this till our next meeting to make some of the changes that Mr. Bruner requested in there.
Do that in planning commission.
Okay, you wanna do it, you wanna do it in planning commission?
Just getting the process started.
Okay,
You're technically not passing anything, you're just passing a resolution saying send it on.
all right, I pull my postpone request.
Anyone else before we proceed to vote? Yeah, 15 yes, 2 no's, it passes to send it on to planning commission. Moving right along, we have resolution 2024-04, rezoning C2 to A1 Bramble Lane.
No.
Oh, there it is, okay. I'm sorry, I have jumped the gun, I gotta back up. We have resolution 2023-49, special uses and special use permits.
Remove mine off that then.
Hold up. Sir,
I said remove my motion off if you're changing the resolution.
Katie Hubbard.
Okay, this is the resolution that I sponsored with the intent of giving citizens a bigger voice for campgrounds. And then resolution was modified. When it was modified, in my opinion, it downgraded and put ag processing facilities and rock crushing from I1 to A1, which was not the intent. And when that happened, that gave the Board of Zoning Appeals full authority, and it took away the rezoning process, which took away our authority, and in my opinion, gave the citizens less opportunity to voice concerns and to keep incompatible entities from being beside each other. So I want to say thank you to the citizens for speaking who spoke in support of voting no on this, and I'm asking for all of your support in voting no, so if you could please press the red button, I would greatly appreciate it.
Anyone else, question or comment?
Are you moving it to the floor?
If I don't move, if there's no first or second, does it die?
It died.
And it dies for good?
Well, I mean, somebody can bring it back up.
Okay, well, I'll let it die.
Essentially, that's what I'm asking. Are you, there's two ways to do it.
Okay, I'll just,
You can vote no, and you move the floor to vote no, or you can, if there's no motion or no second,
It dies
you
instantly.
have a motion second from the planning.
from our commission.
From this commission to move it, even though the planning commission recommendation is not like a budget committee or a nominating committee.
Okay, I'm not gonna motion it,
Okay.
and I
Just
appreciate
asking.
other people not motioning it.
Is there a motion or a second? I think this issue died for a lack.
Thank you.
See how easy that was? Okay, now we're down to resolution 2024-04, C2 to A1 Bramble Lane. Mr. Scarlett, did you make a motion there?
I made a motion, it came through the planning commission, yes, sir, move to approve.
Question or comment before we proceed to vote? Not hearing any, we will proceed to vote as soon as we get to it. Yes, 1 abstention, passes. Next, resolution 2024-06, rezoning A1 to C2, Lowry Loop Road. Question or comment? Not hearing any, we'll proceed to vote. Oh, we gotta have a motion. Yep, I thought we had a motion. Is there a motion? One abstain. Next, we have resolution 2023-62, best uses only and I-2 zone. Question or comment? Not hearing any, we'll proceed to vote. Yes, one abstain, it passes. Next, we have surplus resolutions. Resolution 2024-02, juvenile court surplus disposed. Mr. Parliamentary, can we take all three of these together?
Yes, sir.
Resolution 2024-08, finance department surplus and dispose. Resolution 2024-12, sheriff's department surplus and sale. I'll present to you all three together.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir,
we don't need to take the sheriff's department one in.
do what?
The sheriff's department one needs to be pulled from that. Do it separately.
Do it separately? All right. We will take number 3, resolution 2024-12. From that, you'll vote on the first two. 17-0, 1 abstain. Now we will vote on resolution 2024-12, sheriff's department surplus and sale. Question or comment? Not hearing any. We'll proceed to vote. Passes 16-0, 2 abstain. There is no announcements. We are fixing to adjourn, but remember, we have to reconvene for beer board. Mr. Blevins.
I want to take a second, Mr. Chairman, to remind everybody, this is the week of telecommunication, or E911 people, or dispatch. It's the week that we honor them. Thank you all for what you do. We couldn't do anything without you. You're literally the wheels under all the departments and the very first responders. So thank them for what they do. If you get a chance to go by 911, tell Justin what a great job they're doing. That's all.
Terry Doctor.
Just want to say real quick, we won't be meeting again till July, but the annual Chestnut Hill Charity Horse Show is a 2-night show. It's the last weekend in June, and it's a fundraiser for the fire department. If you enjoy horse shows, please come on out. Thank you.
Thank everyone for coming out. Try to leave quietly, and we're going to proceed straight into beer board. Motion to adjourn.